What up, Space Fam? Goes in here from AnimeUproar, and today it's finally time to talk about the extremely popular time loop theory for Attack on Titan, using all the up-to-date info we have from all of the new chapters, which suggests that Eren finally succeeded in breaking the time loop. I hope you find this topic as interesting as I did myself. I gotta say, I'm pretty into it, being a big fan of time travel-esque stories myself. If you do enjoy seeing these Attack on Titan videos and want to keep them coming, then the best thing you could do is Warhammer smash that like button until it's blue. If you haven't, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell or you will miss future Attack on Titan videos. That's just the way it works. And while you wait for the next video to drop, feel free to check out my growing Attack on Titan playlist where I got videos on all the Titan shifters, all the Ackermans, and much more. Link to that is in the description. And if you're burning up for me to cover another Attack on Titan topic, leave your suggestions in the comments. Now, without further ado, let's jump into it, spoilers and all. I know people sometimes complain when I use Wikipedia as a source, but I purposely got out of the academic world in part so I can bypass a lot of its restrictions, like not being able to use Wikipedia as a source when it makes sense to. So yeah, I'm unapologetically now going to quote from Wikipedia and savor every minute of it. First, we must define our term. A time loop, according to Wikipedia, and I quote, is a plot device in fiction whereby characters re-experience a span of time which is repeated, sometimes more than once, with some hope of breaking out of the cycle of repetition. Time loops are constantly resetting when a certain condition is met, such as the death of a character or a clock reaches a certain time, the loop starts again, possibly with one or more characters retaining the memories from the previous loop. End quote. Now, if you haven't heard of this theory that's been floating around since as long as I can remember, we're going to go through my own summary and version of it. The short version is that there's a time loop that will repeat again and again until A. Eren frees the world, and in particular the Eldian people of Titans, B. Emir Fritz is freed from her eternity of slaving away in the unknown lands, and C. the shiny centipede creature that attached to Emir and started all this Titan stuff is killed. All of those points are actually related. Eren, our protagonist, is arguably the key to breaking this loop, as was further symbolized by the basement key being around his neck all the time earlier on in the series. It is possible that when he dies without fulfilling the goal of freeing the world from Titans and Emir from slavery, then time is turned back, perhaps all the way to when Emir inherited the Titan powers, or perhaps just to when Eren wakes up in chapter 1. More on that later. It is noteworthy on the Wikipedia page that there is a whole section about time loops in Japanese pop culture. Time loops are considered a familiar trope in Japanese pop culture media, especially in, get this, anime. So it would not be at all surprising if Isayama also incorporated this trope into his own story. One of the first times I was exposed to this trope was when I was watching the anime The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya, still one of my favorite anime to this day. The Haruhi Suzumiya time loop resulted in the infamous Endless 8, aka 8 episodes where the same events repeated with slight variations until finally, during the last episode, Kyon, our protagonist, broke the loop by inviting the whole team to come over to his house the next day so they could all finish their homework from summer vacation. Now you finally get how important it is to finish your homework. In that case, that was the key to breaking the loop, something that didn't happen during the last 15,000 plus versions of that summer vacation. That's right, the same events took place over 15,000 times, and one character, Yuki, the alien aka humanoid interface, actually experienced all of those versions while being fully conscious of the repetitions. It's been called the most hated arc in anime history, and you can bet most people didn't enjoy waiting a whole week to watch the next episode that was practically the exact same as the previous week's episode, and doing so over and over again. However, as a total nerd, I actually love the concept because it gives you the tiniest sense of what it must have been like for Yuki to relive this summer break again and again. While we had to watch 8 20-minute episodes before escaping the loop, she had to experience the same summer break over 15,000 times. So it's not that bad for us when you look at it like that. However, from what I gather, the anime was different from the source material, and originally we were only shown the final loop in the light novel before it was broken. That's what I suspect is the case for Attack on Titan 2. We are experiencing the final loop as our main story, and there have been many loops in the past where Eren did not succeed in freeing Emir Fritz. So now let's focus in more on Attack on Titan itself. In chapter 138, the latest chapter of Attack Attack on Titan and the second last one ever, we saw what appeared to be a what-if fantasy where Eren chose to spend the rest of his life with Mikasa in a cabin. Because of Emir's curse, they didn't have a whole lifetime together, but they still got to spend what remained of Eren's life in peace. When Eren's time is up due to Emir's curse, a short-haired Mikasa in the cabin world says "see you later" to Eren, as his eyes are still a bit open. With this in mind, let's scroll back to the first chapter of Attack on Titan, which by the way was called "To You 2000 Years From Now," another reference to time travel, and this is probably Emir talking to Eren, since the time between her and him is roughly 2000 years, although if we're being super specific with the facts we've been given, it's less than 1900, but I assume she'd be rounding up. And what do we see in this first time travel referencing chapter? We see a short-haired Mikasa say "see you later, Eren" before he opens his eyes, only to ask Mikasa when her hair got so long. To me, this sort of seems like Eren potentially resetting after that last loop, which ended beside the cabin with Mikasa, where they, despite the happy-ish ending, once again failed to free Emir Fritz and by extension failed to free the future Eldians from the curse of the Titans. We even visually see the number 845 as if letting us know that time is important and that we've returned to this checkpoint. Now, to be fair, this doesn't have to be the restart point. It could just so happen that Eren saw the previous loop Eren's memories before he woke up. Notably, he tells Mikasa, "I feel like I just had the longest dream." And he'll say the exact same thing later too after he accesses Grisha's memories of Dinah becoming the Smiling Titan. During chapter 87, he says, and I quote, "I feel like I just woke up from the longest dream." But this time, he realizes it is not a dream but a memory. Interestingly enough, the latest chapter, chapter 138, is called A Long Dream too. And this time, Mikasa is the one who says she feels like she just had a long dream from the cabin world, suggesting that this version of her saw past memories just like when Eren saw Grisha's, except in her case, she probably saw memories from past loops. And that's why this Mikasa didn't say goodbye to Eren, but "I'll see you later." She was aware that the time loop would reset and they'd see each other again, even if the Eren of this specific loop just died from Emir's curse. And although Eren doesn't remember exactly what he saw in chapter 1, except that Mikasa's hair was shorter than it is now, he cries, suggesting that his body or somewhere in his subconscious, he's aware of what happened in the previous loop, and the knowledge of it is bringing him to tears now. Another time we saw Eren randomly cry like this was, you guessed it, after he woke up in a jail cell after experiencing Grisha's memories of Dinah becoming the Smiling Titan during chapter 87. And Mikasa cried too in the cabin world after awaking from her quote-unquote long dream, further suggesting that chapter 1 Eren was crying here in the first chapter because he did in fact just access past memories that were probably sent to him by Emir Fritz using the paths that connect her, the coordinate, to every other Eldian, including Eren at this point, even if he doesn't yet possess the attack or founding Titan powers. Notably, chapter 122 will be called From You 2000 Years Ago, and the chapter is about Emir Fritz and her story, suggesting that that 2000 number is in fact referring to the temporal bridge between Emir Fritz and Eren Yeager. That chapter is a very significant one because it shows exactly when the shiny centipede creature attached to Emir and this whole Titan history started. It also contains Eren's reply to Emir in the Unknown Land, aka the land of the paths that transcends space and time, where Emir actually molds all the Titan transformations we see in the real world, from the special earth beneath her feet, even all of the gigantic colossal Titans that are released during the rumbling. Eren tells her that she's not a slave and that he'll put an end to this world if she gives him her strength. He tells her she gets to decide whether to stay here for eternity or to end it all. If we believe in this time loop theory, what he's really saying is, lend me your power if you want me to set you free from this eternity of servitude by finally breaking the time loop. As Eren reveals, she must have been waiting 2000 years for someone to free her in this way, but that's sort of an understatement because that doesn't factor in the way time works in this land of the paths, where an instant Titan transformation in the real world requires painstaking molding that lasts for what must seem like an eternity for Emir in this world. And it also doesn't take into account how Emir would have relived those 2,000 years many times if the time loop theory is correct. Keep in mind, Zeke says that the relatively short time he spent there when compared to how much time Emir must have spent there still felt long and also dragged out for him. So clearly Emir is the Yuki of Attack on Titan, as she's been conscious and aware during this eternity of dragged out time and constant repetitions. Thus, what was happening during the first chapter was most likely Emir reaching out to Eren for help and setting into motion the events that would eventually lead future Eren to meet her in the Land of the Paths, where he could carry out the plan to end it all and finally free her from the eternal time loop. When you start looking at the series through the lens of this theory, there are many moments that you'll start to look at in a different way. For instance, during chapter 121, future Eren tells past Grisha to advance, even if you die, even after you die, end quote. That even after you die statement makes more sense if Eren's referring to future versions of him advancing in future time loops. Even if you don't break the cycle in this loop, keep trying to do so in the next and repeat the process no matter how long it takes. During chapter 89, Eren Kruger is talking to Grisha, and there's reason to believe that it's Eren Yeager talking through Kruger at the same time as well, since he goes on to mention Mikasa and Armin, Eren's friends, who haven't even been born yet. At this point, Kruger tells Grisha before passing on the Attack Titan power, and I quote, "Love someone inside the walls. If you can't, we're doomed to repeat it all again. The same history, the same mistakes, again and again. If you want to save them all, Mikasa, Armin, and the others, carry out your mission to the end." End quote. This conversation between Kruger and Grisha could also be a way for future Eren to give a message to the past Eren who is currently witnessing Grisha's memories. In this way, Eren is telling himself to carry out his mission to the end, to not stop until he breaks the loop. And although you could say that when Kruger says doomed to repeat it all again, he just means that future generations will keep the cycle of hatred going, when you take everything else into account, it's hard not to believe that he's talking about repeating it all again because of the time loop. You can find more and more instances like this littered throughout the story that can easily be read as having something to do with the time loop or referring to the time loop. During chapter 6, before Mikasa saves Eren from a kidnapper, she mentions that she remembers, and I quote, "seeing this scene before again and again," end quote. As with the Kruger moment, you can explain it away by saying that she was just referring to the world being a cruel place and how the strong feed on the weak. She's seen those laws in nature at work before. And I do think she meant that. However, at the same time, I also think that this could be pointing to the fact that they are in a time loop, repeating things over and over again. Consciously, Mikasa would not recall past lives at this point, except maybe through a deja vu experience. But I do think Ackermans have a higher chance of getting access to memories of past loops than the other Eldians because their memories are more difficult to manipulate than that of the others. In fact, so far, it's been suggested that their memories can't actually be rewritten like that of the other Eldians using the Founding Titan power. You may have noticed that the Ackermans get headaches a lot. It is possible that they get headaches because memories of past time loops are coming to them while their mind resists them. Notably, Mikasa's latest headache leads to her vision of the cabin house, which we're saying for the sake of this video is what happened in the previous time loop. Once she says she can't take this anymore, as if she can't hold the memory at bay anymore, she gets this vision and she no longer has a headache. We know that Eren or Emir shouldn't be able to feed any false memories to an Ackerman. So this, it would seem, must be a real memory of a past life. Let's keep going with how other things can be viewed differently through the lens of this theory. The Attack Titan's ability to see future memories might actually be the ability to see the memories of past time loops. Thus, a future memory could just be a memory memory of a past loop that was further along than the present loop. The attack titan that is always moving forward and seeking freedom from the loop might be the only titan power that, when combined with the founding titan power, can gain full access to the memories of all past loops. In turn, this would explain why Eren is acting the way he is now and why he's doing such horrible things, because he may be aware that he tried every other alternative in every past loop and it failed to break the cycle. So now this is the only alternative left. He had to be mean and distant to Mikasa and Armin, or things may never have worked out the way they did. So this brings us back to the latest chapter, chapter 138, where Eren seems to have finally broken the time loop by having Mikasa kill him, the current founding titan, while the shiny centipede creature was outside of its host's body. In the last panel, we saw Emir Fritz in the back smiling, suggesting that Eren completed the goal he promised he would if she lent him her power. He put an end to it, to the loop once and for all. Now the shiny centipede creature's cord to the Eldians has been cut, and in the next chapter, Eldians should end up being freed from the curse of the Titans. In other words, they'll be like everyone else, they won't be able to turn into Titans anymore, they won't be affected by Emir's curse, the world of paths will cease to exist, and Emir and Eren will finally be able to rest in peace. If you don't know, Isayama has already revealed what the final panel of the manga will be. It will be a baby, probably Historia's baby, being held by an adult. And they will tell the baby, and I quote, "You are free." My interpretation of this is that the baby will be free of the Titan curse thanks to Eren. Not only has the rest of the world seen Eldians risking their lives to stop Eren the Devil, if Eldians will also cease to be able to become Titans once and for all, as I expect, then the surviving inhabitants of the world will really have no reason to treat the remaining Eldians like monsters and discriminate against them. Thus, this Eldian baby will also be free of the world's fear and hatred that all past Eldians were subject to. Armin and the others will stop being able to turn into Titans, and they will also be free from Emir's curse. Just as Kruger told Grisha, Eren will have carried out his mission to the end, and in that way, he will have saved Mikasa and Armin, and the Eldian nation as a whole, just as he wanted to do all along. And that, my friends, will be the end of Attack on Titan, one of the greatest stories ever told. Now, before I wrap up, I just want to address some other facets of the theory. One of the main questions is, how is a time loop possible? Well, just as in Haruhi Suzumiya, it's possible that a godlike character is responsible. While the Haruhi Suzumiya time loop was caused by Haruhi, who has the godlike abilities to change, destroy, and reshape reality in that series, it is possible the Attack on Titan time loop was caused by Emir Fritz, who similarly has the godlike abilities to change, destroy, and reshape reality in her own series. If Emir, who once possessed all 9 Titan powers, can transcend time and space as we've seen, it's not that far-fetched to assume that she could create a time loop that would repeat until someone like Eren helped her achieve her desired outcome of freedom. While researching the Endless Eight, I also came across something which I thought was interesting. Some fans suggested that they made the Endless Eight arc last 8 episodes because 8, the number, looks like the sign infinity. Infinity in turn points to the idea of being in an infinite time loop. The concluding episode of the Endless Eight arc, where the infinity loop was broken, was the 19th episode broadcast for season 2, or the 9th new episode. Either way, the interesting thing is that the number 9 physically looks like the number 8, or the infinity sign would look if the loop was broken. So it's very fitting that the Endless Eight loop was broken on the 9th episode. I am fully aware that I may be looking too much into this, but I like to look at numbers, especially when we're talking about time travel. In Attack on Titan's case, it seems random to finish on the 139th chapter. However, since that will be the first chapter where the characters have actually escaped the time loop and are finally free from it, it seems very fitting for it to end with a 9, just like with Haruhi Suzumiya. And the number 13 in front of the 9 is not insignificant either. As we know, 13 represents Emir's curse in Attack on Titan, and by extension, mention the Titan curse more generally. While the numbers 13-8 suggest that we are trapped in a cursed and endless Titan time loop, 13-9 suggests that we finally escaped the cursed Titan time loop and Emir's curse. Again, this last part may be looking into it way too much, and I fully acknowledge that, but I thought it was interesting nonetheless, and so I wanted to share it in light of everything else we know about the time loop trope and the Attack on Titan series. Anyways, that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know whether you think the time loop theory will pan out for Attack on Titan or not. Either way, I hope you enjoyed the video. No matter what happens, I personally enjoyed this theory so much that I will consider it an alternate ending if Isayama doesn't actually end up using it. If you did enjoy this video and want to keep the Attack on Titan videos coming, then the best thing you could do is Warhammer smash that like button until it's blue. Imagine this, what if we're in a time loop right now and the only way out is for you to finally smash that like button? Our collective fate is in your hands. If you haven't, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell and select all, or you will miss future Attack on Titan videos. And while you wait for the next one to drop, feel free to check out our growing Attack on Titan playlist where I got videos about all the Titan shifters, all the Ackermans, and much more. Link to that is in the description. Also, feel free to leave suggestions for future Attack on Titan videos that you are burning up to see in the comments. And until next time, see ya, Space Cowboys.